Hello and welcome back to Kweebec Corner. My name's Connor and today we're going to be going through the mechanics and UI of Hytale. As usual, there's a bunch to go over and I'm always referring to the blog posts that are released on the Hytale website, so make sure to check them out when they release. So the first thing that I wanted to look at is crafting. We've had a few sneak peeks of it here with the UI, and I wanted to go over what the workbench and weapon bench could potentially hold for the game. As you can see, the workbench is used to craft melee and ranged weaponry, specifically not armor, and it seems like you go around the world collecting weapon categories. From what I found so far, you've got swords, daggers or short swords, long swords, axes, maces, bows, two-handed axes or battle axes, spears, shields, staffs, and wands. To craft a weapon, it seems that you select the category and blueprint or weapon type, and ingredients in total are displayed along with options to craft 1, 10, or all possible in your inventory. It seems like weapon categories and specific weapons can actually be discovered and unlocked throughout the world, and you have to adventure to find them or perhaps learn them in some sort of talent tree. Weapons appear to have 5 tiers. Light grey is common, of course, blue is rare, purple is epic, and yellow is legendary. I'm not too sure what green is, as we haven't had too much of a hint, but I'm not going to guess on that. We've actually had one-handed and two-handed wielding confirmed, which is really interesting for the potential of the game. If you've ever played Skyrim, you'd know that there's a similar mechanic. You can have 2 different spells in your hands, or you can even dual wield. We've also seen that you can hold torches in one hand while you're fighting with a sword, which is a really interesting mechanic that I know a lot of people wanted from the get-go in Minecraft. Weapons seem to have a damage range and speed. They can have effects like different spells or enchantments, and a durability counter, of course, which suggests the ability to repair them. That leads us on to the Armory. That's probably where you're going to change, repair, or perhaps even alter your weapons. This is similar to an anvil in Minecraft, and this may involve using a whetstone to change the shape, add enchantments or special effects, or even use ingots and metal to repair your blade. There doesn't seem to be a pointer for naming the item, but it's safe to say that's probably a feature that's in the game, having seen that there's a Troic sword and various other item names out there. Your character has an overall base health of 100, with an additional health counter perhaps for armor with enchants and different items. There's a base mana pool with a similar additional counter for any spare effects. Then we have your character's stats such as defense, attack, ranged attack, and magic attack, which are all based at 100. So that's what we know about weapons so far, but what about armor? You're probably going to be crafting it separately from in the workbench, and armor categories seem to be as follows: a helmet, hands, chest, legs, there are 4 trinket slots, and there's no footing slot, which is quite strange, but there is a mystery central area. It's probably going to be for the back slot because we have quivers and bagpacks and you see breathing apparatus in the trailer. This shot also gives us glimpses at the outside UI and possibly what we'll be working with in-game. We have a rotating compass and 4 hotkeys, which are pretty traditional in most games and MMOs. You have L for the journal or quest log, M for the map, of course, rudimentary to every game, E for the inventory, which is very similar to the Minecraft layout, and T for talk or chat. I think it's more or less guaranteed that you're going to be able to alter these hotkeys to wherever you prefer them to be, and now I want to move on to some of the different interactive furniture that I spotted in the trailer. The anvil, of course, comes with some sort of weapon holder or thing that displays spears and swords and gets shook. There's some sort of forge or furnace, which is pretty typical. We have a potion table, a writing desk, and a cooking stand, which means the cooking feature may be a little bit more advanced. Perhaps we'll be mixing ingredients and have to cook things at the right temperature. Which brings us on to consumables. If you notice at the start of the trailer, this small dude is actually eating a little fruit skewer. It could possibly be that you can customize these and change the order and arrangement of the fruit, but that would be a very small detail. Of course, we have potions, and obviously we're going to have food involved as well. But that's about as much as I can spot so far. Rightio, onto the mining, the aspect that probably interests quite a lot of you. As far as we know, the ores are as follows. I think it's pretty certain that we're going to get coal, as we've seen torches, and obviously there are a lot of fires and forges, and we need to cook food somewhere or another. Copper appears to be the ore that's being mined in the trailer. We've also seen glimpses at iron, thorium, and cobalt through the online concept art of weaponry. In the trailer, if you look closely, you can also see a glowing red gem that could be ruby, and a yellow substance which more than likely is gold. The mechanics of ore spawning is definitely going to be similar to Minecraft. There'll be more rare items found at different levels, and they'll definitely have similar vein mechanics and environment spawn rates. Say if you get closer to lava or a darker, deeper area, you may find diamonds or some sort of really rare gem. Next, onto the farming. So far we've seen the ability to sow seeds and hoe the dirt. You can water your plants, and there's of course different harvesting stages for your fruits and vegetables. One cool mechanic that you may have spotted is that there is of course a scarecrow in the farm, which definitely suggests that birds and different animals are going to come and attack your crops and try and eat your food before you've harvested it. So it'll be important to get one of those early on in the farming stage. You can also see that there's paved dirt that doesn't seem to have grass grown on it, like some sort of pathway. And there's also different layers of grass. You've got short grass and then a sort of deeper layer of grass and different long grass types. There's a lot of foliage in this game, I think it's pretty safe to say. A few more details, we can see that there's a wheelbarrow, which could be a way of moving and transporting different elements of your farm. There's a pitchfork, which I can only presume helps with hay and other farm work. And of course there's a well, which is pretty cute. In the corner of the screen, you can actually see berry bushes. You'll be able to go up and harvest these, no doubt, and that points to the existence of fruit trees, maybe different banana and orange and apple trees that you can grow in an orchard. I'd also like to see day and night cycles and weather conditions factor into how you grow your crops. Things like seasonal changes and incorporating mechanics from games like Stardew Valley, which I'm definitely getting a vibe of here. Right, onto the big one, combat and movement. There's a lot to go over here, so I'm just going to list all the different types of animations and features that I can spot. I'm not going to go over all of them in detail, as they're probably quite self-explanatory, but needless to say, if you have any questions, let me know in the comment section below. Of course, we can see the shift crouch being used in many shots. This is a way of crouching your character and keeping them safe from falling off edges. There's the place block mechanic, which of course is expected. You'll undoubtedly be able to sprint, which will help in combat. We see a glimpse of a jump attack when we see the player attacking a Trork, which could deal extra damage. There seems to be an actual death animation when the character dies instead of just disappearing. You can see the body on the floor laying flat. There's a sitting animation, which I know people wanted in Minecraft for a long time. One odd feature that I noticed is that players and NPCs' eyes seem to automatically look at each other and interact with emotions. This is actually due to the way that mobs are animated in the game. There's actually a separate layer for things like eyeballs and moving entities that you want in a skin, which will no doubt prove very useful for creatives in the community. If you watch the footage from the trailer again and slow it down, you'll notice that the main body is actually made up of 3 animated parts to make cleaner mining and harvesting animations. You can actively dodge, of course. Again, if we look at the combat with the Trork and human, we can see that the human swings the sword but hits the Trork twice. It's like a double attack of some kind. There's also third person and first person combat, and both of them look really good. Fishing, of course, seems to be another offhand mechanic that you can see. We have the swimming animations, we have minecart riding, as well as minecart jumping, which brings a whole new dynamic to those types of tracks. We get a glimpse of staffs, which appear to have ranged magic abilities, and we also see a really interesting shot of a two-handed mace with a charged, spinning AoE attack. Things like this may be really useful for dungeon battles and could suggest sort of character archetypes like a tank or DPS and healer. The next feature I think is going to make a lot of people happy, and if you've ever played Fortnite, you'll know the potential of dancing and emotes. In the trailer we see different types of dancing and various character emotes that can be pinned on your character, assumedly, which should be quite a laugh. One final one that I noticed is that in this game, you can actually customize the spawning animation of different mobs. You'll see that some rise up from the ground, whereas some players just magically poof in with a sparkle. I actually thought this was quite an odd mechanic at first, but when I started thinking of all the possibilities, it kind of seemed logical. You could set the scene for any character or mob's appearance with different arrays of animation. Right, let's take a breather for a second, because that was quite a lot to cover. I think it's pretty safe to say that your character can do a lot of movement and combat in the game. But what about getting from different places to do said combat? Well, that's what we're covering next. It seems that travel offers mounts, vehicles, and devices. Rideable mounts, of course, are things that you perhaps tame and buy that you can ride about and get you from one place to another. It seems like you might have the ability to attack while you're on these mounts as well, which would be very interesting. Say if you're holding a sword, a bow, or a staff. Imagine even having a battle or a jousting match with another player. I'm actually hoping that a lot of animals are able to be tamed in this game, because I'd love my own little family of critters. The next thing, of course, are the flying mounts, such as hot air balloons that we get a little glimpse of here and there, and I think it's pretty safe to say that you're going to be able to ride dragons in this game. I mean, why would they not add that feature, right? I haven't seen any methods of fast travel being displayed yet, but the ability to fly via a back attachment could be possible, like the steampunk helicopter or some gliders, similar to how an elytra would work. Of course, there's a few more mechanics that we don't have too much detail on that I wanted to go over. There'll be taming, breeding no doubt. You'll have relationships that you'll be able to forge with different creatures. Captivity becomes a dynamic when you have things like chickens and hens that you need to keep away from foxes. defending your farm from attackers while feeding the creatures and keeping them alive. And then when it comes to actual objectives within the map, we look to things like quests. I'm pretty sure that there are going to be quests in Hytale. You walk up to an NPC, he asks you to do something, gives you a simple reward. Whether it's a chain of quests that leads you to a different area, or just a single quest that gives you a better item. Then we have dungeons that probably intertwine a little bit with quests. You probably have a few quests to go into dungeons and retrieve specific things or defeat certain mobs. And these will spawn randomly throughout the world. Portal dungeons are the next ones, however I'm pretty sure these would be unique, as in there's never two with the same name. And they lead to larger places like the Temple of Gaia, which are a bit more challenging and possibly take place in different worlds. Within the portal dungeons, we have world and story dungeons, as well as an overarching objective and requirements to enter the place to begin with. While not necessarily a mechanic, but more a theory, with the seasonal winter post, it suggests that there could be seasonal changes or even festive alterations to the map as you play. This might perhaps be more a feature for servers, however. One mechanic we don't know too much about is the world generation, but I feel like we're going to get a few more hints on that sooner rather than later, so I'm going to leave that out of this video for now. Another obscure thing is that there's probably going to be instruments and different types of music in the game. Perhaps you can write music at the writing desk I spoke about earlier, and even form bands with friends, which would be pretty exciting. Another feature that revealed a bunch of information is the character design, which allows you to customize your own avatar. Martin, also known as In the Littlewood, uploaded a really good video breaking down and analyzing every detail of that character design screen, and you should go check it out for more information on that. Finally, when it comes to things like online and server mechanics as well as modding, I'm going to leave that for a part 2. There's plenty to cover on those two topics alone, so make sure you stay tuned for that when it comes. Thank you guys once again for the support, as always. I really do admire this little community that we've got growing. Thanks for watching Kweebec Corner. Stay free and keep safe.